You'd have to kill me to get this jacket off. Jacket off. The Bikeriders was written and directed by Jeff Nichols, whose previous work includes films like Take Shelter, But Eat All You Take, Mud, not My Name is Mud, and Midnight Special, All Through the Night. And baby, in short, I'm yours. Oh, wait, no. I'm sorry to our goddesses, TLC. I got the name of that song wrong. Nevertheless, what's your favorite TLC song? Let me know in the comments, please. TLC is nowhere near this, given the time period, but the Bikeriders got quite the marketing campaign behind it. So much so that I was seeing trailers for this all the way back in the spring and early summer of last year. And then due to the writers and actors strike, which basically I'm just glad that they should have gotten done. It actually should have never gotten to that point. They should have gotten their boost in pay before all that happened. But yeah, because of that, movies like this got delayed. And also they had issues finding a distributor. And you can check out the IMDb page to find out some facts about this. And Jeff Nichols and one of the actors, Michael Shannon, have collaborated on multiple films, including this. And this takes place between the years of 1965, if man, woman, animal, vegetable, and mineral still felt so alive, and 1973, if man was still a flea. But he's the drummer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Do not look up the lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers and his new girlfriend. You'll feel gross, that you need to be pressure washed. That being said, 1965, 1973, and this takes place in the Midwest, where we have the Vandals, a motorcycle gang led by Johnny. La 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 la, they're in love with cyclist Johnny, played by Tom Hardy, who I have conflicting feelings on. He's a really good actor, and then there are times where I think that it seems like his characters, maybe are having a series of small strokes because they don't make a whole lot of sense. Not because of the accents, just it's his weird acting ability. And this manifests a little bit during the movie, but we have Johnny who leads the Vandals. And as time goes on, the group grows and grows, changes and changes with the times. And also between 65 and 73, the Vietnam War, that becomes a little bit of a backdrop for some of the changes in the gang. And also there are other members like Benny, who is played by Austin Butler, who has had quite the interesting career so far as ascending. Elvis, and he was in Dune Part 2, where he was a bald guy straight out of Dark City. And at least that's the impression I got. And he falls for by stalking a woman named Kathy, played by Jodie Comer, who was in The Last Duel. And she's a terrific actress, I do want to say. And yeah, stalking, another form of love. Don't stalk people. That's really bad. I say this is somebody that has had stalkers. Please don't do that. Now, nevertheless, we see how Kathy integrates herself into the gang. And meanwhile, we cut back and forth to interviews that she has had, or she has with a journalist named Danny, played by Mike Fast, or Feist. I'm not actually totally sure how to pronounce his name. He was in Challengers. He was great in that. And we just see how this gang grows, and we just see them ride along, and we see them get in fights, and fight, the Johnny and Benny show. And then we just see things roll along, see the things change, people get beat up, people die, and things just go on. And the movie aesthetically looks phenomenal. The cinematography, the costumes, it really feels like it is plucked straight out of the 60s and 70s. Those biker movies, all that stuff, it really does feel like that. Yeah, there's the HD camera stuff and everything and with that, but it just really does feel like you are trapped in that time period. So as far as that, the strengths of the movie are the aesthetics, just the great cinematography, the costume design, all that stuff that I mentioned, and the talented cast, because we have Michael Shannon in this. We have Boyd Holbrook. We have Norman Reedus. Yes, Mr. Death Stranding himself. Yes, I know he's been in other stuff, but that was just one random reference I had to go with. That game that got a bunch of hype and really went nowhere. Now, the reason it had some delays also is when you take a look at a movie like this, it would be hard to market because movies like this are more of a throwback to those biker movies where you would see, you get a little bit of backstory on some of these characters, but you would mostly just see it be about the motorcycles and the gang and the camaraderie and that kind of stuff. And in that sense, I appreciate what Jeff Nichols is trying to do. Why is there a butt coming on? Well, here's the but. But this movie just meanders. It doesn't really have a great deal of depth to it. I didn't feel for any of the characters at all. I found Kathy super goddamn annoying. While she had some points, especially in the beginning, I was getting really, really annoyed at the accents Jodie Comer was putting on. Yes, it's a Midwest. I get that, but Tom Hardy's accent in particular was really annoying me. Austin Butler was fine as Benny. And there are a couple layers to his character. And things do make enough sense. It's just the thing is, the movie's more of a concept than it is something fully fleshed out. It is something that you've seen done better in other movies, and even though it looks amazing, it feels soulless and kind of overall bland. While I appreciate what this movie tried to do, and it gets just a mild passing grade that I'll talk about in the spoilers, it doesn't end up being something beyond the technical, prowess of it and the impressive look of it. It doesn't end up being anything more than, okay, yeah, it's about bikers and they do stuff, and yeah, I guess there's a little camaraderie, there's a little bit of this, but it's like people get beat up and the gang grows and all this stuff happens, and you don't really care. I mean, I'm sorry, at least I didn't care. I didn't really find this movie all that interesting, quite frankly. I didn't hate it. I just didn't think that it was that great. So it is going to be in theaters in just a few days if you want to check it out. I'm going to get into spoilers. So great acting, great cinematography, all that. 3, 2, 1, spoilers. So we start off with Kathy talking to Danny and, talking about all this stuff. And, Danny is this journalist that followed this gang around and was interviewing them, taking pictures. And this film did inspire a book. I just wish that the book had inspired a film that was more interesting. The violence is fine. There is this point where Benny tries to punch a guy, punches a truck window, and ends up with glass in his hand, does this, and there's this cool blood splatter that comes across his face. There are cool shots and cool moments in this. There just isn't enough to anchor this movie. Well, anchor in the sense that, to anchor and hold it and not just drag it down into the goddamn abyss. Johnny wants to get out of the rat race, basically. The gang's changing. He's getting older. He's got a wife. I believe he's got kids. I think 1 or 2. I think 2. They flash by some of this stuff really quickly. And he wants Benny to take over. Benny, meanwhile, had got, beaten up in an attack actually in the beginning of the movie. And then there was this point where they showed a little bit later where these two regulars at this bar that didn't like him having his gang colors on, tried to carry Von Erich's foot before he would have gotten it caught in the spokes, hit in the back of a parked police car. Yeah, taking one more shot to Von Erich's, I'm sorry. 2 of them already took a nope. That movie should have been shot better. The Iron Claw, that is. Moving on from that, basically what ends up happening is Benny and Kathy have a whirlwind romance and get married. There is this funny moment where Benny and her spend some time, and then he spends time outside her house. Her boyfriend gets upset, and then they just go, and they go off. They get married 5 weeks later. Whirlwind romance. He has the foot injury that nearly costs him, the ability to use his leg, but he's still riding. And Kathy, meanwhile, we're cutting back and forth to, Danny and talking about all the stuff. He would never leave the group. The changes kept happening. It doesn't have a lot of layers to it. Johnny got the inspiration from Rebel Without a Cause. Big goddamn shock. I expected James Dean's corpse to come in. And yeah, it was what it was. I mean, there were moments. There was this one moment. This one character, Brucey, I believe, is riding along, and his car pulls. It just backs out, and he hits it, and he hits the windshield. I mean, at least they kind of implied that. They couldn't really show it, I guess, because either bad editing, the guy didn't want to take the bump, or they were just like, well, shit, that's good enough. It didn't look very impressive, but he died. So yeah, things start happening. The Vietnam War, people are coming back from that. Some are smoking pot, some are doing more drugs. So things are changing from, instead of, sort of family oriented and everything, things are really changing to where things are getting bad. And Johnny wants out. Benny still won't leave. Benny at one point decides if Benny won't leave the group until Johnny basically wants him to be the leader of the goddamn thing and basically begs him for it. There's one point where this character, Cockroach, gets beat up by these, by these guys that are rival. Well, they're members of the gang, but they're newer members and they don't have the loyalty. There's also this young group that shows up that factors into the untimely passing of Johnny, because he says the one kid, yeah, you can come in, just you. And then the guy says, okay, I'll do that. And he says, no, get the fuck out of here. You would abandon your friends just to do that? That doesn't show loyalty. I mean, it's kind of mixed signals, but whatever. Johnny does save Kathy from getting almost R'd. I'm not going to say the word assaulted, I guess really is what it should say. I don't care if you're in a gang or what, you don't take advantage of people like that. How fucking dare you? But that scared her because Benny was taking that guy to the hospital, Cockroach, taking him to the hospital. He wasn't there. Kathy and Benny have it out. They start arguing. I do want to put over the soundtrack. The soundtrack actually is pretty good too. That's actually one of the few, whether it's original score or the licensed music that they used, that it works pretty well. But Benny and Kathy kind of have an argument. Benny takes off basically after all this stuff and takes off for a while. She doesn't see him. We cut to a different house, for a couple interview pieces where it seems like Kathy's a lot happier and Danny's interviewing her. And yeah, we see these fights, we see this stuff, and one overriding theme was Johnny saying, this one guy challenged him, oh, how do you want it? Knives or fists? Fists or knives? Bole. And one guy chooses fists, and Johnny fought dirty, bit his leg, and then broke his finger. But, yeah, you can start your own chapter, because that's what happened. They would start their own chapters instead of just in Chicago. They would start their own. One came over from Indiana. That would lead to where Austin Butler just punched this guy and did, and then punched out the car window. That was actually kind of funny. He just ran and just hit him at a dead run. But yeah, Johnny basically, after kicking that guy out, sometime later, that same guy has more gang members and challenges him. And fists or knives, he chooses knives. They agree to meet the next day. And this guy shoots him instead of stabbing him or playing fair. So he takes over the gang, and now they're getting more into where they're killing people and committing assault and pushing drugs and whatever. And I guess more successful. And they're still going to this day, the Vandals. Just like the Hells Angels. The book would probably be more interesting than the movie was. Again, it's an interesting concept, even if it's been done to death. Pretty talented cast, great cinematography and great aesthetic. It just only ends up getting a C+ because it just ends up kind of being there. Just overall, just kind of ends up being there. That's just my opinion. I also found a lot of the characters incredibly annoying, though I do want to say there is one nice thing at the end. After Johnny died, Benny eventually does break down and cry, and that kind of cements him and Kathy together. Now they're living in Florida, and there we go. They're happy. He hears some bikes rolling around in his head, like, ooh, trikeys. He still has the memories, but he's left riding behind. So yeah, anyway, C+. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.